AOL's focus for season 2 is on relationships, both in the way that we as a society talk about relationships and then also beyond the traditional sense of the word. This is where we include interactions with lifestyle and self-care practices, not only our relationship to ourselves, our partners, work colleagues and bosses and friends, but also our relationship with stress, food, music, education, creativity, finances, and our immediate healthcare systems, like our doctors and healthcare providers, our relationship to medicine, supplements, quick fixes, and such.
Today's guest brings a wealth of knowledge in understanding health from a biological and preventative standpoint. With a bachelor's degree in human biology, a master's in sport health and exercise science, and currently pursuing a PhD in human sciences. She's a lecturer at Weill Cornell in Qatar, shaping the minds of future healthcare professionals, and is a strong advocate for integrating scientific knowledge with practical preventative health strategies, bridging the worlds of biology, medicine, and holistic health. This multifaceted guest is not only a lecturer, but is also a mother of 2 beautiful children, a wife, an avid weightlifter and hybrid athlete, dabbling in functional and CrossFit style training. Welcome to the Anatomy of Life podcast, the incredibly strong and graceful Christine Gaskell. Before we get started, I love how we met. It was over food, which is my favorite thing,
yes,
at a chef's table of all experiences in Doha. And we got to chatting. So I think we were both celebrating birthdays.
Yes,
you were, right? Was it your birthday or husband's birthday?
Yeah.
So Christine, I think you have a unique perspective that combines human biology, medicine, and lifestyle, which I think will be an eye-opener for anyone looking to understand health as more than just the absence of disease. I want us to all think about our relationship with the medical system, especially the tendency to turn to medications or supplements as a first solution. I feel that this interview will help in deepening our understanding of the healthcare systems and the medications we take so blindly. For now, tell us about your background, where you're from, how long you've been in Doha, and what led you to a career in human biology and exercise science.
Okay, wow. So I'm from Wales in the UK, and I have been in Doha for 7 years this week. And I initially fell almost into human biology and exercise science. I was always very interested in science in school. I was the geeky kid in school, and so I was always passionate about it, but never saw that as being a potential career.
Wow.
It was never anything that was spoken about in school. I went to a very small high school, and at the time, my mum had a pub, and so as I grew older, I just naturally fell into working in that industry. It wasn't then until I had my daughter that sparked my interest again in science and human sciences, and I actually then considered becoming a midwife. That is where it all started, because when I left school I didn't have A-levels. I actually went to do an access to higher education college course, and it was access to nursing that I did. And then when it came to making the applications, I applied for midwifery and a couple of other bits and pieces. And one of the things that I applied for at the university was also my human biology. And so I got accepted onto the human biology degree. And when I looked at the course specification, I realized actually that was what I was more interested in. And then, kind of the rest is history almost. I started doing some CrossFit at the same time as I started university.
Yeah.
And that's then where that led to in the Masters, tying in the sport with I was interested in the fact that a lot of trainers don't have much background in terms of anatomy, and they have a very, very shallow take on it. And I feel like you can't become a good trainer without knowing physiology of how things work. That was the obvious thing to me, was to do that. So that was where the Masters came into.
What a colourful story.
Thank you.
At Weill Cornell, are your students mostly future healthcare providers? And if so, how does your teaching bridge scientific knowledge with real-world health applications?
So at Weill Cornell here, we only have one degree, and it is medical doctor. So it's a 7-year program. and that is the only thing that we do. So we have a foundation year, a 2-year of pre-medical, which encompasses things like biology, chemistry, physics, calculus, English, all of those core subjects. And then there is a 4-year medical program directly from that. And then once they finish, they go on to their specialties all over the world. So it's the only degree that we have. So in comparison to a lot of the other universities on Education City, it's a very small university. We have in our pre-medical classes normally around 50 students.
Wow, that's huge.
So it's as the years, it makes it a very nice feel to the university, because every student in here you have taught at some point. So it's very close knit and very friendly.
And so then, how does your teaching bridge the scientific knowledge with real world health applications?
So because of the way that the courses are structured, I teach a number of courses. So I have an introduction to general biology, which I assist on, an introduction to human biology, which I assist on, and then also a human development and structure course and a lifestyle and health course. So with the introduction courses, they are just a general overview into biology as a subject. The human development and structure course, which is led by a colleague and I assist on, that one then takes things a lot further into the depths of human anatomy and structure. And then my lifestyle and health course is then where I've tried to then bridge the gap between actual just a biology as a science and the lifestyle application of it in terms of medicine.
When I research what you do, I have never heard a course where they are teaching doctors on lifestyle and health.
Yeah, so I started that course 3 years ago. It didn't exist before, and it all started as a result of my PhD, and in being in the medical environment and realizing so much of it is structured towards the sciences, and the medicine, but a huge disconnect between then the actual application of it towards health.
Yes, and this is what drew me to you, and I found it so fascinating. It's so exciting to see a shift, you know, in this medical field, because I think we need it.
Definitely.
And for you to spearhead it, I know I speak not only for myself, but for many, is that this is vital. I think this is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's still in its infancy, but the exciting thing now is that more and more people are recognizing. And this is the good thing, is that it is becoming a more recognized area.
There's a growing trend of using supplements as a primary healthcare tool. Do you think people sometimes rely too much on supplements rather than making a lifestyle change?
Yeah, most definitely. And this then comes down to a change in our lifestyles. So, and everybody's expectation to have an instant result. So, undoubtedly, if you look back over the last couple of decades and centuries, our lifestyles have become far more busy and hectic. And you can't get away from that fact. But in doing so, we have also try to make our lives more convenient. And that is where the problem lies. So we've almost gotten to a point where, and obviously I say we, just
general
in
public.
general, I've gotten to a point where if something requires hard work or a bit of grit or dedication, we look for the easiest option.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's not always a bad thing. But obviously with that then does come some disadvantages. So if it's, when we look at diets, things that are time consuming, such as cooking your own food, if it's uncomfortable, something that takes you out of your bubble, or requires any sort of habit change, for instance, with a diet, it's easier to take a supplement. Because it's there, it solves the problem, we think, and then we can just carry on going about our day.
So true. I do believe the same about supplements. I am a culprit. I went through a stage where I was taking probably 7 supplements in the morning, and I don't like taking tablets. And going through my health coaching course and also being in the personal training sphere and understanding that no offense, personal trainers, but we don't have a lot of knowledge. It's very basic, and it's time to shift. It's time to come together in the not only the physical aspect and the medical aspect, but from the mental aspect, like all mental health, emotional health, physical health, medical health. They are huge connections. And I remember now looking back and seeing all my supplements, I'm like, I cannot take another tablet. I have to make lifestyle changes. And I started to do that. I must be honest, I did have a few pieces of help here and there, with people that were holistic and naturopaths and functional medicine and things like that. But I wanted to ask you, how do you envision healthcare evolving to include more prevention and patient education?
So this comes over as slightly controversial.
Which I love.
But something that I've noticed, and it's been well documented as well, is that there needs to be a shift in the onus of health back to the patient.
Yes.
Because it was in one of the studies done, over 80% of the doctors felt that they were responsible for the patient's health.
Oh, wow. That's a big responsibility to take on.
And when you have over, I can't remember the exact figures now, but it's a huge number of conditions that doctors are seeing now are lifestyle-related diseases.
Yeah.
So they are presenting to doctors with a disease that is being caused by their lifestyle.
Correct, yeah.
Not the doctor's
Not
choices.
the doctor. And this is the misconception, is that a lot of people are like, well, my doctor said so. You have agency. You have a choice every single moment of your day. You have a choice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so the shift needs to go back to the responsibility being with the patient and not the doctor.
Yeah.
So when we consider that, like I said, the majority of health-related problems are directly related to a patient's lifestyle, the doctor wasn't the one who ate the high saturated fat diet or smoked 20 cigarettes a day for 20 years.
Exactly.
And by shifting the responsibility, but also educating the patient into the lifestyle side of things, then that is the shift that we need to see happening in the healthcare.
Then you mentioned education.
Yeah, and so when we look at the education, like I said, within the medical settings, it is very focused on obviously things like cardiovascular systems, but also pharmacology, immunology, and so on. There is no nutrition taught in a medical degree, which is absolutely
baffling,
mind-boggling, and it leads to so many different disease states.
Yeah.
So first of all, there needs to be education of the healthcare provider in themselves, and ongoing education as well, not just we've finished, we are now doctors.
Done. Yeah.
So healthcare providers play a crucial role in several different ways. So first of all, when we're looking at supplementation, conducting a proper diagnosis to identify the root cause, not just the symptoms. So if somebody is fatigued, not just providing them with
a sleeping tablet.
It needs to be, why are you feeling fatigue?
Yeah.
Then evaluating whether the medications are truly necessary, or if it is just a case of that person actually just needs to go and sleep for 7 to 9 hours, not 3 hours, and then wonder why they're tired.
Exactly. It could be the phone, it could be light, it could be drinking coffee too late in the day.
Exactly. Also then, things like screening for potential drug interactions. This is something that people don't take into account when they're taking medication, supplementation, because obviously you don't need a prescription to buy it.
Yeah.
But if you're already on medication, could those supplements affect what you're taking?
I never thought about that.
Yeah. And then monitoring the effectiveness of them. I mean, do they need to do blood works and things like that to see how the effectiveness is working for you, and treatment plans. Also then helping the patients understand the risks and benefits. Yeah. So we need to start having a much broader approach to the problem. So if, for instance, a patient goes to the doctor suffering from headaches and they want an immediate relief from the headache, the doctor prescribes a pain reliever, the patient leaves happy for a short period of time. Yeah. But we haven't addressed, what if those headaches keep reoccurring? What is the cause of the headaches? Yeah. And why is it that we address the symptoms first, rather than the causes? We have to acknowledge, obviously, that the time limitation is a huge problem for doctors. Huge. They don't have unlimited time to spend with each patient.
Yeah.
But the first point of call really would be to explore the patient's things like the diet. Are they consuming enough water? Are they sleeping enough? Is the sleep of good quality?
Yes.
Are they under a great deal of stress in work? And any one of those things could lead to headaches. And then second, if the doctor did explore all of those variables and advised the patient they need to get sufficient sleep, would the patient be happy with that as a diagnosis?
Yeah,
or would the patient expect the prescription and then leave and go to another?
And that's where we come from. You had mentioned we have to look at it broader. When I was going through when I was studying through IIN, with the Institute, we had lecturers like Dr. Oz. We had lecturers like Dr. Amen coming and saying the exact same thing you've just said. And this is where the time factor that you mentioned with the doctors, they don't have the time. And once we start seeing a shift, like as health coaches, my goal is to eventually work alongside the big hospitals and the government institutions that are hospitals to alleviate the doctors of that, so that they are going for almost like the biggest stuff. Then, so one, it's the time. Two, it's the onus on the patient. And three, it's the education of basically, I call it a triad. So it would be a health coach being inserted into the medical facility, assisting the doctor that doesn't have the time to then go for lifestyle and health. And if that doesn't then help the situation and then educate the patient that, hey, you're getting this stuff, you've got to go try it. It's not the doctor that's going to try it for you. Yeah. I'm not going to try it for you. You got to try it for you. So it's so refreshing to hear this and firsthand. So that brings me to, what limitations do you see in conventional medicine for addressing lifestyle-based illnesses? We touched on time as one of the limitations. Is there any others?
So I'm not a hater of conventional medicine.
Same.
And this is the thing, people seem to think that you have to be one or the other camp, and it's not. It's a combination of the two, which is going to be the best outcome for the
100.
patient. And it's invaluable for acute care, managing chronic symptoms, but again, it often falls short in addressing multifaceted nature of lifestyle and those illnesses that are associated with that.
Yeah.
So a more integrative approach that combines conventional medicine practices with preventative care, patient education, and multidisciplinary support is essential to what we need to tackle. So that would look at things like a focus on the acute treatment over prevention. So like I said, we normally emphasize treating symptoms or managing conditions rather than preventing them. So for example, prescribing medication to control the blood sugar in type 2 diabetes addresses the symptoms, but may overlook the lifestyle factors like the diet and physical inactivity of the patient. Limited integration of lifestyle interventions. So while effective in managing acute conditions, conventional medicine doesn't fully integrate lifestyle-based approaches, so dietary changes, exercise, stress management into treatment plans, because doctors are not...
they're not trained in that field. That's not their field.
And so it falls outside of the scope of typical medical consultations. Again, we talked about short consultation times. I think in the UK, the GPs get, I'm not sure if it's 10 or 15 minutes per patient.
Same in South Africa. It's a very short window. It's sometimes the longest you'll have is 20 minutes.
So to be able to try and get and address their concerns, it's impossible to do. Over-reliance on the pharmaceutical solutions. Conventional medicine often prioritizes pharmaceutical treatments over non-pharmaceutical approaches. We see this in examples with statins for high cholesterol, again, without significant emphasis on dietary changes or weight loss. This touches on, obviously, what we were just saying, lack of multidisciplinary care. So addressing lifestyle-based illnesses effectively requires input from nutritionists, physiotherapists, psychologists, and other specialists, which, as a doctor, people look at doctors and think they have the answer to everything. And they don't. It's impossible. This 7-year program is so intense, and it's not enough. But when do you end?
Exactly. At some point, you have to start practicing.
There has to be an end to it. So you have to, I think my favorite saying is know your know your limitations.
Oh, absolutely.
Know your strengths, know your limitations, and
Yeah.
know when to put your hands up and say,
I don't know.
I don't know. And it's okay. You shouldn't be expected to know everything. Yeah, and then just things like the socioeconomic and cultural barriers as well that limit the patient's ability to make some of the lifestyle changes.
So I just wanted to add on to that, where we talk about, I'm living proof about this combination, because I had a severe iron deficiency, and a lot of people, and that's why I'm so pro, joining forces. I'm so pro, there is a place for medicals. I went through a time where I was so frustrated, but I didn't take onus, because I was like, and you were so right when you mentioned, we think the doctors know everything, and they only know a portion of it. We know the rest as well. Yeah. Nobody knows your body the best the way you do it. You know?
Exactly.
And I had iron deficiency 4 years ago. I had a huge blood transfusion. That's what caused me to get into health coaching. It was on me to then look at, okay, what was happening in my lifestyle. And the doctor's not going to be in your bedroom telling you to fall asleep or take that iron tablet or don't do that jumping jack or don't jump on that box. It is on us. So the combining your lifestyle changes for any of the listeners listening with your medical care is going to lead to a better outcome. Definitely. And I think that's just the bottom line, really. Yeah. So what factors should people consider before turning to supplements or medications for healthcare solutions? And how can they know what's best for them? I think already through the conversation, a lot of people can pick up what this answer will be, but how can they know what's best for them?
So there's several important factors to ensure things like safety, efficacy, and appropriateness for the specific needs.
Yeah.
And some of the things that people can look to evaluate are understanding, again, the root cause of the issue. And this is probably something that I'll say a million times. But the key consideration is the health issue due to a nutrient deficiency, a lifestyle factor, or a underlying medical condition.
And I think that's quite an easy way to, once you put it that way, because people get so overwhelmed with the information. They're like, well, how will I know what's best for me? Take it in the 3 steps. Check out your nutrition. Check out your lifestyle. Check out your medical.
Yeah. Exactly.
Those 3 steps, guys. It's so, I know when I say it sounds simple, but it really is.
Yeah.
It
doesn't need to be complicated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we look at things like we talked about fatigue already, and you were obviously just talking about iron deficiency.
Yeah.
So fatigue might result from iron deficiency.
Yeah.
It could result from sleep deprivation or a thyroid dysfunction, each requiring a different approach. So it needs to be what is the cause of the problem. The evidence-based effectiveness so you can research the supplemental medication. My biggest problem with that is a lot of the time people don't have, this again isn't meant to sound concerned, but people don't have the knowledge when they read the stuff on the internet to know what it means. And obviously to check the websites. Is the website that you're using
reputable?
Yeah. Who is it written by?
Yeah.
And an example of this is in the booklet I gave you.
Yeah.
There was a diet published by Vogue back in the 1960s or 70s, and I think it was a 3 or 4 day diet, but you were to eat pretty much eggs and wine, a bottle of wine a day, preferably dry Chablis as well. And the person who wrote it was essentially what we would class as a modern day blogger, really. There was no background, but obviously if you think about the audience of Vogue
at that time, in the 1960s,
it was fashion Bible,
literally,
which people, obviously young, very easily influenced girls would be reading, and they're getting told, this is a great way to lose weight.
A whole bottle of wine.
Yeah, every day. I mean,
if it worked.
The whole workout doing that. But,
amazing.
So yeah, you have to know what you're reading is.
Is it reputable?
Safe. So you need to research the supplementation or the medication, determine if it's going to help the condition that you have.
Yes.
So we know that vitamin D supplements are well supported for deficiencies, but again, they don't cure general fatigue or other unrelated issues.
Yeah.
We have things like safety and side effects. So if you're already taking drugs, as I said, or medications for any other
ailments,
conditions.
Conditions.
Are they going to affect each other?
That's something that you've just brought to my attention. For the first time, I've known it. It's almost like you know this information, but then when someone says it, it's like a light bulb goes off.
And this is what I say to my students at the start of the semester when I cover the Life and Health course.
Yeah.
I'll say a lot of these things that I tell you isn't new. I'm not giving you anything groundbreaking.
We kind of know it already.
But it's just bringing it to your attention and actually going,
oh, hey.
Yeah. Have you thought about this? When we look at a common one for women is St. John's warts. That can actually interfere with antidepressants and reduce their effectiveness. So it's those things that medical professionals then would be able to assist.
Can help you.
Yeah. And then tying back into the necessity versus convenience. So is a supplemental medication truly necessary, or could the lifestyle change, diet, exercise, stress management addressed effectively? Obviously, we know people take omega-3 supplements.
Yeah.
They might not be needed if your diet already contains a good amount of fatty fish. We don't need to take it, getting it from the direct source.
Yeah, and it's better to get it from the direct source. What role should doctors play in guiding people in safe supplement use? And are there gaps in the system today that we're not aware of?
So doctors are critical in guiding safe supplement use, but there are gaps in the training without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I already said many doctors receive minimal education about supplements and nutrition in medical school, which then leaves gaps in their ability to counsel patients effectively.
Yeah.
We then have patients being increasingly exposed to unregulated supplement advertising information.
I'm going to get it off Amazon. Okay.
Yeah. Or I saw so taking it on TikTok. So,
yeah. Great.
Yeah. And then it makes it harder for doctors to counteract the false claims. Some TikTok star, or I don't hate on TikTok either.
But you're hitting on such a true point because I posted something on my Instagram. It was just after COVID, and I was kind of snarky on it. And I was like, if you don't believe me, go check it out on TikTok, because TikTok seems to be the new Bible.
Yeah. And my daughter will come to me sometimes and she'll say, oh, so-and-so said this on TikTok. And I'm like, so it must be true. Yeah. Some 15-year-old in their bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally got it. Nailed it.
So, it's difficult when we have those things
to contend with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no fact checker on it.
Yeah.
We also have the problem with supplements. We have high cost or limited access to medical testing for things like nutrient deficiencies. And this then in itself may push patients to self-prescribe supplementation without professional guidance. So addressing the gaps in better education, resources, and again, tying back into that interdisciplinary approach can make sure that patients have a safer, informed approach
to it. Again, I'm going to put my hand up and say I was definitely one of those people that just supplemented everything because I was so busy at the time.
Yeah.
And now I've noticed how switching out if you can get the food source to that supplement, go for the food source. And I've only just been practicing that in the last 2 years.
And I think habits, people see it as a huge hurdle because when you think about cooking a meal, in terms of, for us, obviously, we have the wonder of Talabat, which you can click your fingers on. It's a blessing and a curse in itself. So when you think of the time needed to cook a meal, of course, it's so much easier to go on Talabat. Once you spend a few weeks building and breaking old habits and building new ones, then
it just rewards you tenfold. Yeah. So how does human biology support the idea that healthy lifestyle choices can prevent illness?
So it does this by demonstrating how the body can respond to diet, exercise, and stress management, and other behaviors at cellular and systemic and hormonal levels as well.
Yeah.
So they need to be looked at as one and not separate disciplines. So when we look at the immune system, for example, the role of lifestyle, we know that a balanced diet, rich in nutrients, regular exercise, adequate sleep, bolster the immune system, helping the body to fight off infection and diseases. When we look at that on a biological basis, we know that the antioxidants, things like vitamin C and E, reduce oxidative stress, helping to prevent cellular damage. And we know that exercise increases circulation of immune cells and so enhancing pathogen detection and destruction.
So are there specific lifestyle changes scientifically shown to reduce medication reliance and lower illness risk? And how could these practices integrate into our healthcare system?
Yeah, so these interventions target then, again, the buzzword, I'll call it, the root cause of many of the chronic diseases, improving overall health and often enabling individuals to manage or prevent conditions without solely relying on medications. So adopting a diet that is nutrient rich, the Mediterranean diet is one of the ones that's been most written about.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of grounding in it, yeah. And so the evidence from that shows that it reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, also reversal of type 2 diabetes as well, yes, and hypertension. And that is through studies showing that a plant-based diet can lower blood pressure, cholesterol, and even reverse some of the early stages of heart disease, reducing the needs for medications like statins and hypertensives.
Yeah.
When we look then at physical activity, regular moderate to vigorous exercise, so around 150 minutes per week of aerobic activity, helps to improve insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, and strengthens cardiovascular health. Again, exercise has been shown to reduce the need for diabetes medication and antidepressants in some individuals. We've got things like stress reduction as well, so incorporating mindfulness, meditation, or yoga into daily routines. This then reduces the levels of stress hormones like cortisol, which are linked to hypertension and mental health disorders.
Yeah.
And so studies have indicated that mindfulness practices can lower the need for antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication.
To hear that coming from a lecturer at Weill Cornell is just one of the most, I keep saying it, but refreshing things. I was lucky enough, I think it was this year, I attended a women's conference at, I won't mention the hospital, it's a big hospital where women go to give birth here in Qatar. And I was lucky enough to watch, big wigs in this medical field speak about it. But as they opened this conference, I had never seen this in my life. There were singing bowls on the stage, and we had a whole mindfulness practice before they opened the conference.
That's awesome.
I have chills talking about it now, because I was like, I'm sat in a hospital right now, and with doctors of, just all around me, and we are doing a mindfulness practice. So just to see that, I knew I was sat in the right place. I know we're on the right path, and I know that these two industries, both nutritional, physical, coupled with medical, I know we can be symbiotic. There's an ecosystem here that's going to start generating better health for people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you look at the three of those that I've just mentioned, stress reduction is the hardest one for people to implement.
Yes.
People know subconsciously that they should be eating better. Yeah. Everybody can say, I don't think that anybody couldn't say that they could improve. I know myself.
Same.
I'm not saying that my food and exercise is absolutely perfect.
But we know what to do.
We know what to do, and people know that they should be moving more. People know that they should be eating better.
Yes.
And they know, with reason, they know how to do that. People know there's enough marketing around that you should be eating fruits and vegetables.
Exactly.
And you should be, the guidelines, doing 150 minutes of vigorous exercise.
Yeah.
But stress reduction, when you say to somebody you need to practice mindfulness, the look on people's faces.
True story.
It's like,
what are you talking about?
And I'll use myself as the example. So last year, I suffer with anxiety and stress hugely. Yeah. I like to load my plate.
I'm the brink of...
Yeah. I'm a person who works well under stress.
Yeah.
And then obviously I break, I rebuild, and then I carry on. It's just the way I work.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it. But last year it got to the stage where I went temporarily blind in one eye through stress.
Were you experiencing headaches?
Yeah.
I have something similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know I should know better. But still, my husband would say to me, you need to sort your stress levels out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's okay saying that, but
practicing?
Yeah.
It's two different things.
How can I do that at the moment? Because I'm at the point in my life where everything is a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I can't take my foot off the pedal at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's like the wrong timing.
Yeah. So I'm not just preaching. I'm coming
we
from
understand it. Yeah, it's easy to say, and you're so right, but I'm the same, and I think everybody that's either listening or have conversation with stress, we don't know how to manage. We just don't. And also, it's when you get told, sit for 5 minutes and breathe. I'm breathing right now. I need to breathe. You know, like, what are you talking about?
And it's one of the things that gets the biggest eye roll.
Yes.
When you say, just reduce your stress. Like,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for highlighting that. Yeah, it's trying to get people, I think, to learn about identifying for them what their stress triggers are.
Yeah.
And being able to say before it gets to that breaking point,
what can I do to
I am at a heightened level of stress.
Yeah.
We all need stress.
And that's so true, because it gets you going.
Yeah.
It's like you need a bit of cortisol just to get you going. But you don't need to overload.
No.
You know?
No.
So
and so it's, I think, identifying and taking away from I don't know, people when they hear the word mindfulness, they think it's some sort of theory,
like,
approach to things, and there needs to be a shift in mindset towards that approach as well.
I agree. How does the body respond differently to synthetic supplements versus nutrients from foods? Now, I think a lot of people know this, as we spoke about, this is common sense, but I think to hear it is so important. And then, are there distinct benefits to one over the other?
Okay, so I'll start by natural nutrients. So when we talk about natural nutrients, these are those obtained from whole food sources within somebody's diet.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about synthetic nutrients, these are what we call artificial or are isolated nutrients, and they are usually made in an industrial process. So synthetic nutrients do not include whole food supplements, which are made from concentrated dehydrated foods.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of supplements available on the market today are made artificially. These include vitamins, antioxidants, minerals, amino acids, among other things. And they can be taken as a pill, capsule, tablet, powder, or liquid. And they are made to mimic the way natural nutrients act in the body. Synthetic nutrients are almost chemically identical to those found in food. However, the production process of synthetic nutrients is very different to the way that animals and plants would create them.
Yeah.
So despite the fact that they have a similar structure to what you would get from food, your body is going to react differently to how it ingests them.
Because it recognizes synthetic from natural.
Yes. Yeah. And so the way that synthetic nutrients are absorbed into the body and used by the body is going to be different as well for different people. Some may be more easily absorbed and not others. And this is because also when you eat real food, you're not consuming a single nutrient, but rather a whole wide range of vitamins, minerals, cofactors, and enzymes that allow the optimum use of that nutrient then by the body.
Exactly.
So without these additional compounds, the synthetic nutrients are unlikely to be used by the body in the same way as their natural counterparts. And we know this, for example, with iron.
Yeah.
Going back to iron.
I think it's important.
People know that they need to eat leafy green vegetables, but what they don't know is that they also need to have vitamin C to help the body absorb the iron.
Yeah.
You can take all the iron that you want, but if you don't have things like vitamin C to go with it, your body just can't absorb it.
And then it will cause oxidative stress, or it has the potential to develop oxidative stress.
Yeah, and this is where, again, I cover this in the book, but food pairings, this is where, again, nutrition in itself is too much of a dense course, a broad subject for doctors to cover.
Yeah.
But nutritionists and dietitians, what they study is so much more than what people realize.
Yes.
Because food is a chemical component.
Yeah, on its own.
And how food is paired has a huge impact on how it's digested and absorbed and reacted.
This is so true that you say that, because we're using iron as I think it's a good example that pairings is important to know you.
It's a side of food that people don't even consider.
Yeah, I never considered it, I must be honest. So we're going to move a little bit away from all this medical jargon, and I want to touch on how do close relationships like family and friends biologically impact a person's health and immune system specifically?
So scientists for a long time have investigated biological and behavioural factors that account for health benefits of connecting with others. And they found that it helps relieve harmful levels of stress, which can adversely affect things like coronary arteries, gut function, insulin regulation, and the immune system. And another line of research suggests that caring behaviours trigger the release of stress-reducing hormones. So we've got a lot of wide-ranging research that suggests things like strong social ties are linked to longer life. In contrast, loneliness and social isolation are linked to poorer health, depression, and increased risk of early death.
Yeah.
And one of the studies, multiple studies, but one of the studies that I was looking at showed that married couples tend to live longer and have better heart health than unmarried couples.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that tie into that. And one of them is that when one spouse improves his or her health behaviours, such as exercising,
Yes.
drinking or smoking less, or things even like getting the flu shot, the other spouse is also likely to do so.
I giggled because my husband and I do this.
Yeah, I met my husband in the gym, so yeah.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah. And then when marriages are full of conflict, those health benefits then shrink.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So where they found that when how couples behave during conflict can affect also things like wound healing.
Yeah.
And blood levels of stress hormones.
That's interesting,
So,
isn't it?
yeah.
And could you explain how relationships and social bonds influence hormone levels, particularly cortisol we've been speaking about, oxytocin and serotonin?
Yeah, so when we look at cortisol, which is what we know as the stress hormone, the impact of relationships on that, we found that positive social bonds such as supportive friendships or a healthy romantic relationship are associated with lower cortisol levels, and supportive interactions then can buffer stress and promote relaxation. You get that feeling when you have that hug. You can almost feel the wave coming over you. In contrast, social conflict, isolation, and toxic relationships can increase cortisol levels, leading to chronic stress and its associated health issues. And so going back to the married thing, married individuals in stable relationships often show lower cortisol levels after stressful events compared to those in tumultuous conditions. When we look then at oxytocin, which is also termed as the bonding hormone, this is released during positive social interactions, again, such as hugging, kissing, or acts of kindness as well, and is particularly important in that mother-infant bonding and also trust building.
Yeah.
So when you have social bonding activities such as spending quality time with a loved one or even expressing empathy, we have that release of oxytocin and it fosters a sense of closeness and security. So when you hold hands, we also get that boost of oxytocin, promoting a stronger emotional connection and reducing then stress. And then the serotonin, which we call as the mood regulator, and this has a positive impact on relationships. So when we look at serotonin, we also call that the mood regulator. And positive relationships and social interactions can help elevate our serotonin levels, which improve our mood and promote feelings of happiness and contentment. Conversely, loneliness or social rejection can reduce serotonin levels, which can then potentially contribute to depression or anxiety.
Yeah, this is such interesting stuff, and I think further on as I build out all these series, I'm going to come back to hormones specifically, just that alone. But as we move on, do you believe that early social experiences of childhood relationships shape a person's stress response or emotional resilience?
Yes, so when we look at children specifically, children are at a heightened risk for stress-related health disorders, which then in turn affect adult physical and psychological health. So there's a lot of growing evidence that indicates that the first 3 years of a child's life are super important for so many aspects. But in terms of this now, we have a host of biological and psychological hazards that can affect the child's development trajectory and lead to an increased risk of adverse physical and psychological health conditions.
Wow.
So such impacts can be observed from multiple different places, and they can affect the cardiovascular system, immune health, metabolic and brain health, and then obviously extend far beyond childhood, affecting potentially the life course of the person. And this involves things like malnutrition as a child, infectious diseases, maltreatment, witnessing violence, and extreme poverty. So prolonged activation of the stress response systems disrupt the development of the brain architecture and other organ systems within the child, and then increase the risk for stress-related diseases and cognitive impairment well into the adult years. The stress response can occur when a child experiences a strong, frequent, or prolonged adversity, such as physical or emotional abuse, chronic neglect, witnessing caregiver substance abuse, and an exposure to violence. And even things such as divorce as well are shown to play a huge role in stress. When you look at children or even adults who are, for all other intents and purposes, healthy, but may have something like asthma, we now know that that can be as a trigger by stress. And when you look back to when the child developed stress, developed the asthma, it was alongside the same time maybe as
experiencing that stress because of the divorce. So true.
So it's something that people don't associate with having lifelong effects. But actually, depending on how that divorce is handled, can have a huge impact.
So can strong, healthy relationships contribute to longevity? And if so, how does this manifest on a physiological level?
So there was a really interesting study done by Harvard. This is the longest study of happiness ever conducted and is still ongoing. It's been going for 85 years.
Wow.
So it's fair to say that they have really
done their research.
Yeah. And what they found is people with strong relationships live longer. They are happier and they are healthier. As the results so far are that social fitness is as important as physical fitness.
I love you just called it social fitness.
So, yeah, I know.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
And if you don't have people to help you, where the inevitable stresses that come along, the body stays in that low level fight or flight mode. And with higher levels of circulating stress, hormones and higher levels of inflammation, we know that those things gradually wear away at many different body systems.
Very true.
The answer to the question is yes.
How does your regular physical activity impact both your personal health and your relationship satisfaction?
So when we look at it on the personal side, improved physical health enhances your cardiovascular fitness, your muscle strength and bone health, helps reduce chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes and obesity, and it boosts your energy levels. So you lead to a more active participation in your daily life. With regards to mental health, then it helps reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, lowers your stress levels by regulating cortisol, and enhances cognitive function and memory. The impact on relationship satisfaction is that physical activity helps individuals manage stress and negative emotions, promoting more harmonious interactions with families, members, partners, and friends. And it creates a positive environment then for relationships. We also then have sharing activities builds bonds. So when you exercise together, whether that's walking or doing yoga, it fosters a teamwork and you have shared goals, quality time together, and also then enhances emotional intimacy.
Yeah, that's almost like releasing the oxytocin in a way. Yeah.
You also then get improved communication. So couples who engage in physical activity together often experience better communication just due to the collaborative nature of a workout. And bonding through mutual accomplishment. There's also then the added benefit of increased physical affection. So it's one that is often spoken about, but exercise boosts libido and physical confidence.
Super important.
Improving romantic relationships, and it also supports more active participation in intimate moments as well. And then what also leads on to then is being a role model for the family. So individuals who are healthy and active often then have children. Because children follow
what you do.
Copy.
And I see you doing those pull-ups
Yeah.
in your house. So I know that your daughter and your son are going to be doing pull-ups. And I saw a video of your husband doing pull-ups with your little boy.
Yeah, so he was like 9 or 10 months old, and I was training in the garden.
Oh my God.
And he wanted to hang off the rig, and he was trying to do pull-ups.
He was not even a year yet?
Not even a year. Children will copy whatever they see their parents doing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it builds a really good role model for the family.
I think that's so important as well. So given your background in human biology and human science, how would you define health from a biological perspective?
So these days, people would say that health is the absence of disease. In honesty, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just merely the absence of disease.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that in the first season of the podcast, where I gave the definition of what Google says versus what WHO says. Yeah. WHO is more towards what health is. It's not just the mere absence. If you Google it, it just says absence of disease.
Absence of disease, yeah. And I would say that health can be defined as the state of optimal functioning and balance within the body. So that homeostasis, the body being well balanced, is what health is.
So as we come to the end, which I think not only was super informative, but for people to hear this is so vital. And like we were saying, yes, it's got a lot to do with like common sense, but hearing it, especially from somebody at Weill Cornell as a lecturer, this is important for people to hear. And if you don't believe the two of us, go to TikTok. No, I'm joking. Don't go to TikTok. But the second last question before I get to the very last, and the very last is obviously where people can possibly just connect to you if they're able to. But at the end of each episode, I like to ask my guests something I call the invisible impact or legacy question. Because I believe we each have an impact on the lives we touch, often in ways we can't see directly. So as we wrap up, I'd love to know, what's one unseen or invisible impact you hope to leave behind? Not just from our conversation today, but in your life's work.
So my hope is that people start to take care of themselves better. In terms of what I do in the medical college, I'm just a small cog in the big chain.
Yeah.
But I hope that by what I bring to my lifestyle and health course, it makes people stop and just look at what they're doing in their everyday life and just make maybe just one small change.
Yeah. It just takes that one
change. And that can have the knock-on effect then to other changes, but also because I am very fortunate enough that I do interact with future doctors, my hope is that they take on board just one small change, and that then gets passed on to maybe the hundreds of patients that they will treat. So just to stop and just have a look today, what could I make a change? One change.
What would it be?
What would it be?
In this very moment, as you close this podcast, just say thank you so much. And we could, because I'm pretty sure somewhere in the world, someone that wants to go into becoming a doctor, and now knowing that there is a course out there on lifestyle and health when becoming a doctor, where can people connect with you?
So you can find me on Instagram.
I will tag you. I will put your details down.
Great,
absolutely.
Thank you. And I'm actually in the process of trying to build a website. So there will be...
and when it does go live, please let us know and we'll share it as well.
I will do, thank 100%. You. So I'm hoping there where I can just tie in studies and so on. So it's somewhere that people can come maybe and find some info.
And spark a joy in becoming a doctor.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So hopefully as soon as that is up and running, I will let you know.
So Christine, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you
I am in awe of not only the work that you do, but how you live your personal life. Watching you work out, knowing you have a youngster at home, literally, is he 5 years old yet?
He'll be 5 in January.
He's 5 in Jan?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So busy mom, you're a lecturer, you've been absolutely amazing. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this episode. Remember to subscribe to get alerts of the next episodes. Share it with those you know will need to hear it. And here is to your health.